Be sure to pause this video anytime you need to take a closer look at photos and parts and things like that. My name is Justin Matley, and I bought a 1984 Kubota L235 with four-wheel drive that was in need of major repairs. So what you're looking at right here is the back end and the transmission case, which houses the rear differential, and you'll see the top rear of the case is snapped off, as was the top cylinder, which I've already unbolted and got it out of the way. So with that out of the way, we can look down, see the differential, see the pinion, see the forward, the gears up in the front there. And I've got some still photos like this one showing the differential lock fork, which is that vertical piece up and down there, which fits around a ring. When it goes back and forth, that ring will lock the differential to lock the rear wheels together. Right here, what you're looking at is the left side like brake components and brake housing. So your left axle bolts right on here, but underneath that is this brake area. And there's some discs in there that can rotate. And when they rotate, they get pinched together tight and they cause braking. And this gear right in the middle with the snap ring on it there, that gear is on the rear axle. So if these discs can't turn and they're fixed to this gear and they're fixed to the axle can't turn. So that's how you brake. Now notice this is a big bearing carrier here, and you'll see 6 large ball bearings. Those ball bearings are what the brake discs ride on, and when the brake discs rotate, they get pinched together because of the way everything is kind of shaped. But the bearing carriers here, and here's the one on the right hand side, they've got like the axle bearings and the differential bearings, and these have some shims you'll see later that when these are adjusted correctly, it'll tighten or loosen the differential. Now we're looking at the speed selector lever, which comes into the housing, drops down, and it moves a fork back and forth, and I have a video for that right here. So when you pull the lever back, that's slow speed, and it moves those gears forward, and when you put the lever forward, the gears go backwards, and that's the high speed. And you'll see that little arm goes down in there, pushes that fork back and forth, and the fork rides on a shaft with some grooves in it, and there's a ball bearing with a spring, and that's how it kind of clicks into place. Here's that rear differential bearing carrier, and you're seeing some shims right there. So I pulled things out, and I just kind of had stuff sitting around my garage, but I wanted to snap a photo to kind of, keep things in mind. Getting back to this with the differential and the bearing carrier and all that out of the way, now it was time to work on the PTO shaft, which simply unbolts and it gets pulled out of the way. You'll see a video on that in a moment. But I did take some photos so you can see how that shaft goes in there. There's a coupler on the end of the shaft right below that pinion gear. And now you can see that coupler a little better. There's a spring pin through the coupler, but it just kind of keeps it centered in position. You'll see that in the upcoming video clips. Everything is video from here on out. I just pulled the PTO shaft out, so I took a photo. There's just the 4 bolts in the back, pried a little bit on the top. The whole thing slips right out. I was concerned that maybe this pin there was fixing that coupling to the PTO shaft like permanently, but it's not. It's just another one of those center things, so the coupling stays centered. We see up in there, just to get a look for later. There's a snap ring right there. Can't see. Oh yeah, there's another snap ring down there. It's looking like things are going to work for me to have these hydraulic lines remain here in place on the sides, and also this cable right here, and this hydraulic line, sort of interesting. So you might recall from an earlier video or just your own tractor, you've got the top cylinder that sits here for the 3-point lift, and there's this hydraulic line coming in. Well, if you loosen up, see down here this little, this thing is kind of annoying down there. You can, what is it now? You can kind of turn this and get it loosened up, but it'll just loosen right here, and this will still be tight, so you still have to get in and kind of like pry or pull on it. Anyway, you can loosen that up. There's another one up that way, and the other end of this line, which connects on to, I believe, like underneath the hydraulic fluid pump up there, you got to undo that. So you undo it here, you undo it at the other end, and then you can rotate it and push it forward. So that's all I did. So I was able to leave it in place and just get it out of the way. Okay, so it's out of the way. And then this one down here, similar situation, I've left it in place. I think I'm not focusing very well all the time, but nasty mess, huh? Anyway, yeah, this focus is not working good. Left it in place, but it is detached. So I had less, work to do by leaving some of these things in place. On the other hand, you may just want to get it out of the way, because then it's less hassle and you're not working around it. Let's see, I've got underneath, I've got this blocked up. I've got some blocks up there. Now, you have to remember that those blocks there are on the axle, but the axle isn't solid to the tractor, right? The tractor can still tilt back and forth. So I did notice as I was doing some things, like I was jacking up back here and working on the axle, and the tractor was tilting. But it would only go so far. But then at some point I was like, well, I have to have this blocked up anyway. So once you do that, then it doesn't really want to rock. And obviously, strapping or bolting and things like that would be even more solid, but I'm being careful. It doesn't seem to want to move anywhere, so I think I'm fine. So that's going on. Keep that in mind. And these nuts right here, for me, this tractor's it's been pretty clean and oiled and things, so most all my nuts and bolts have come loose easily. I just wanted to mention that get yourself a long breaker bar. So I had the 17mm socket on here. I had a breaker bar. If you get a low profile breaker bar where the joint on the bar is, then it'll fit in here. And same with everywhere else. I basically was able to get it in at least enough to, break the nut loose, and then I could get a regular wrench in there. For this one, I was able to pull these up a little bit and keep going on the nuts there. So, yeah, that was kind of my big thing. If you're going to be doing this, get a long breaker bar. Right now, today, in, 5-degree temperature, I'm going to take these two nuts off, and then I need to get this transmission totally separated. And with most of the guts out, I can lift it. So it might be a pain for me, but I'll just make do as usual. According to the manual, it looks as if once all these nuts are off, and then you've got these studs that run all the way through here. Once the nuts are off, this is supposed to just separate. That, whatever gears or something kind of go through, they don't, permanently attach to anything. You don't have to take any clips off or anything like that. It looks like you're supposed to just be able to pull this off. So I guess I'll find out for sure. That's one of the reasons why I'm shooting this video right now, is because I don't have a video of somebody doing that portion. So hopefully this helps somebody out. If you've got the Kubota L235, possibly it's really similar to the L275, maybe the 185 a little bit. You kind of see what's going on here. The axles, you just undo all the nuts and the axle comes right off. There's nothing to it. And then you've got the brake housing that's right here on both sides. You can kind of tap. You might be able to find a spot where you can tap in and pry right here and work it a little bit. This side for me came right off, no problem. This side, I had to pry one side, pry the other side, pry this, all that stuff. I'll do more video when I put it back together, so you'll see these parts and what's all there and putting it back together, which just the reverse of taking it apart basically. Again, there was nothing really complicated here. I had a couple annoying spots with this piece right here, which is usually facing down. Anyway, there's a handle on here and it has a pin through it. Once I got the pin out, it was really hard to get that handle off. This was down inside and I wedged a socket against it, so I wasn't putting any pressure on the gears or anything, or the fork, shifter mechanism. So I had a socket down in there. I had this magnetic thing attached to the socket so it wouldn't fall down in. And then I put Let's see, that bar's not in here. Anyway, that bar that sticks off has like a little metal tab, and I put a wrench on that, plus held the handle, and I was like, you know, and then flip everything around, the back the other way, a bunch of times back and forth, until I was able to turn it and pry it at the same time and get that bar to pop off. So there was a couple times where I had trouble with things like that, where they're kind of pressed and pinned together. And that's just, you know, you're just going to have to deal with it. You might want to heat it up, lubricate it as you go. Okay, though, I'm going to try to get this apart today, and then we'll shoot some video later on putting everything back together. Okay, I just got this free a little bit. You can kind of see a bit of a crack forming here. Now, what I did was, again, mine's broken, so I can do whatever I want. I was banging against the rear here, this direction. Got to be careful not to swing and hit the pinion. I was doing that, nothing was really happening. What really helped was, for me anyway, was to bang right here, that direction, and then I came over here, and being careful of these lines, I hit on that little round flat area there, that direction, and then when I came, and I thought it was breaking free already, but when I hit right here, boom, on that flat area, then it really started to break free, and now I'll probably, I don't want to mar these surfaces, but I may get a chisel and tap it lightly, or now that it's free, I'll probably start tapping again back here to see if it wants to go that direction easily. A second ago, I got it split. I got the heat blowing on me a little bit. You can see the big crack there. So once I had tapped it side to side and got a little bit loose, because mine's broken and I don't care, I came back in here, right there, and just, and as I was doing that, it opened apart. So I know not everybody can do that, because they're not going to have a broken case, but I'm not sure what, you know, there'll be different things, maybe even wood against some bolts, or a little bit of a chisel to tap in there and separate, but it's coming apart nice and easy. And I could have left all the guts in here, the differential, if I had this hooked to like a hoist or on some sort of wheeling platform, but I didn't, so I wanted to make this as light as possible. Somebody else could just go ahead and probably put a bar or wood against this that sticks out and start tapping that, and it would go back. Same thing right here, these upper, if I can get in there, upper corners, put something against there and tap. Use wood whenever possible, of course. Okay, another look as I move along here, getting a bit further. Still doing the tapping. I'm tapping down inside while pulling with a bolt at the same time. That's helping a lot more. It's coming nice and easy, and you can see how, if you've got the manual, you already know this, but it's one thing to see it in the manual, and it's another thing to see it in person and know that you're understanding the manual correctly. That gear there fits inside that one on that side. So that's how they're, you know, meshed or connected together, and it can just come apart. So nothing permanently attached. They're just slid together in the center mid case here. And at this point, I've got no issues, I don't believe. I'm almost done. Pull it apart and carry it off to set it in the garage. There you go. Not too bad, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 pounds or something. It's not horrible.